Who's ready to get their fingernails dirty? I mean, maybe garlicky. Today we're not out in the garden, folks. We are in the kitchen. We are going to prep what we harvested last week. I don't know if you remember that last week, my garlic, how much I've harvested last week. Go check that video out if you haven't yet. It's a good one. I had a lot of fun with it. So go check that video out. Today we are going to go through and figure out how we are going to harvest or preserve a lot of this garlic. We're for sure going to go through two methods of garlic preservation. We'll see what we have left. The two that we are for sure going to go through are going to be garlic confit. So a garlic confit is going to be basically soaking the garlic in oil in the oven. We're actually going to do two different methods with this. I know you can do it in the oven, or we're going to do it on the stovetop too. So one way takes about 2 hours to do it, hands off. The other way takes about 45 minutes to do it, a little bit more hands on. But we're going to go through both methods just because I want to try both methods, see which method works out better. So we're also going to go through and we're going to dehydrate some of this garlic and make it into a powder. So that's going to be one of the things that I like to do is dehydrate things. It is one of the most easiest things to do to preserve your harvest. So if you haven't dehydrated much, look into it. Go buy a book. Go look on the internet. Dehydrating is awesome. It's really easy to do, and it preserves a ton of food for a very, very, very long time. So go check those out. First, let's get started with the confit because that's going to take a couple hours for it to roll through the oven. So basically when you're making a confit, it is essentially just taking the garlic and soaking it in some type of fat in the oven over some type of heat. Today we're going to use some olive oil. I got 2 things of olive oil here. So we are going to do that. We're going to do one recipe in the oven with just simply garlic and olive oil. And then the next one we're going to do over the stovetop. I have a enamel cast iron pot here. We are going to do it with some basil out of the garden and some thyme. We'll have time for this. So let's get started and let's get rolling. So I should say, in addition to these cloves down here, look at all that garlic we got. And this is all cloves that I salvaged. Basically, I let my garlic harvest go a little too long. The heads of garlic were not going to cure properly. So essentially what I did with this was I took all these guys and I spent over 3, maybe 4 hours peeling last night. Talk about a lovely smelling house, lovely smelling fingernails right here. So that was the hardest part of this process, I'm hoping. Anyways, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our oven started, preheated at 250 degrees. Now with this method, by putting it in the oven, we have 0 risk of overdoing the cloves. We don't want to fry them in the oil. We just want the oil to be hot and just to be able to take that oil and ooze out all that garlicness into that oil and get the cloves soft. So let's get the oven going and then we'll get the oil and the pot ready. We'll take our cloves and we're just gonna very simply just line the bottom of this pan with the cloves of garlic. Okay, you can see we got the pan just lined with garlic on the bottom. Next, we're gonna take our extra virgin olive oil and we're just gonna put it into the bottom of the pan. Now I chose extra virgin olive oil because it's kind of a lighter oil. We just want to make sure we get this guy just covered ever so slightly. All the cloves are covered there. I chose the extra virgin olive oil just because it was something that I like to cook with. Plain and simple. I mean, there are other reasons out there to choose the extra virgin olive oil, but that's just the reason why I chose it. So the oven is up to temp. Let's get this guy put in there and we'll check on it here after a while. Now we just barely got all these guys covered. We probably could add just a smidgen more oil to cover that up. and in the oven they go. Pretty simple. Now, the next version of this is gonna be, make it my own. I am gonna take all the rest of this olive oil and we're gonna put it into this big Dutch oven I got going here. Get the olive oil going in there. And yes, I think I'm just gonna use up the rest of this oil. May have to throw a little bit more garlic in here, but that's okay. I'm after the infused oil more than anything else. So there we go. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these sprigs of thyme here. I'm just gonna kind of tear them up a little bit and get them seeped in there just nice. Now, the thyme, I notice, can take and it can infuse something overly much. So we're not gonna put as much thyme in here as what we're gonna put garlic and basil. And now the basil. I'm simply just gonna take it and rough chop it. Let's get that rough chopped real quick. Already got it washed. I'm gonna simply put all that basil in there. Grab a spoon, mix it together. Okay, with the rest of this garlic here, we're gonna chop it up. We're gonna do it into thin slices and get it on the dehydrator trays. Let's get started with that. This could take us a little bit longer. Not near as long as what it took to peel all this stuff, but it'll take us a little bit longer. Good knife really will help out here. Come on in here, check this out. All right, everybody, we have about 4.5 trays of sliced up garlic here. We're gonna get these into the dehydrator. We're gonna try to do this about 125. You don't want the heat too hot. If you have the heat too hot, things start turning bitter. So better to have it low and slow and have it take longer than what you think. But I think if I do it at 125 for about maybe, I don't know, we'll check it in the morning. So it's gonna be about 18 hours or so. See how well it does. Basically, we want to have it so that these things, whenever I slice them up, that they're brittle, they break, they crack, and yeah, they do good. So by slicing these up into smaller chunks, we're gonna have more surface area. More surface area means that it's gonna dry out quicker. So if you just put the clothes on here and put them on there, it would take days for them to dry out. So it's best to take the time now to slice them up, get that surface area, and get them so they can dry out. Let's get them in the dehydrator. We are done. This guy took 2 hours. This guy took about 45 minutes. Now, one thing you want to do whenever you're testing these is you want to make sure that whenever you know it's done, essentially, whenever you can squish one of the cloves up against the side of the pan. I let these guys cool down to room temperature. We're gonna get this one in the jar here. And then this one, this guy, we're gonna try to do as much as we can in our ice cube trays. I'm gonna freeze these. And by freezing these, this will last a lot longer. Now, this is a good way to get yourself botulism if you just leave this sit out on the counter. I know that might be kind of controversial, but according to what I read, it does not do well if you just let it sit on the counter. So take that with a little bit of caution there. I'm gonna get this guy loaded up, and then we're gonna put it in the fridge, because that's what we like to do. All right, let's get these loaded up, and then we'll get the other guy loaded up, and then we'll move on to the third method here. Something a little special. Something we like to do. That's going to be some good stuff. This is what we ended up with. We got just about 2 quarts of oil here with garlic on the bottom of it. Confit, however you say it. And a little bit left on that one. And I got 3 ice trays full, working on getting those filled up. Those ice trays are going to be great for storing this. So this stuff's going to go in the fridge so it stays good. We don't want to risk any chance of botulism. So we're going to put this in the fridge, use it in our cooking, and yeah, we'll go from there. So speaking of which, let's go on to the next thing that we're going to do to preserve some of this garlic. We do like a lot of garlic in our food. Well, by we, I mean I like a lot of garlic in my food, and I am the chef in the family, so we tend to eat a lot of garlic in our food. So hence why we have all the garlic out there. But what we're gonna do with the next batch is we're gonna make some Alfredo sauce. It's gonna be something super simple to put together, and we're gonna be able to freeze a lot of it. We're gonna eat some of it for supper tonight, but we're gonna freeze a lot of it, and we're gonna be able to use up some garlic in the making as well. Now, the recipe doesn't call for that many cloves of garlic, but the fact that we like a lot of garlic, we're gonna put a lot of garlic in there. So leave me a comment down below if I put too much garlic in this, but I can tell you this already, everybody's gonna think I put too much garlic in it, but we're gonna be enjoying it. So let's get started with that. Okay, everybody, to start up the Alfredo sauce, we need to have our ingredients. Let's get them out. All right, we have our ingredients. So first off, the star of the show is going to be our garlic. This is probably about the only thing I'm going to give you an amount of, and it's going to be a generalized amount because these were a little bit smaller bulbs. But I used 3 bulbs of garlic here, so you can see that's kind of quite a bit of a garlic. Next, we have butter, lots of butter. You can use heavy whipping cream or half and half. This is what I had available to me, so this is what I am using. You want some egg yolks. No egg whites, that's no yolk. We just want the yolks. Make sure you whip them up a little bit. I have a 3 cheese blend here. I got Parmesan, Asiago, and Romano cheese. And then we'll put some nutmeg and some black ground pepper in there. Let's go hop behind me here and let's get this started. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start melting this butter. Now, you wanna make sure you got a pan big enough, which you'll find out later that I tend to not have pans that are big enough. And this is gonna be a huge batch, let me tell you. Probably don't need that high. The key to this too is not overcooking it. You don't want real high heat. If I said medium high earlier, I was mistaken. We'll get all this butter melted down. And I don't know why, but all they had was half sticks of butter. Would have been easier if we would have had full sticks of butter. Okay, we got the butter melted. Next, we're going to add in our half and half or heavy whipping cream, whatever you have. Obviously, right? So we're going to add in our cream. Cream put in there. I usually put the cream in first to reduce the heat level. And then we have our egg yolks. Slide them puppies in here. Let's give it a stir. Get all that mixed in there a little bit better. Right now we're hitting at about 100 degrees. And then comes my my cheesy awesomeness here. Put a little bit of this in there at a time. We'll kind of do this in moderation here, in steps. While we're waiting for that to melt, add a little nutmeg and some cracked brown sugar. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have any of these measurements. I will say I do this all the time just by taste and by experience. So if you're looking for measurements on this, go out to the web and I'm sure you'll find something with all the measurements on this. I will say low and slow is the name of the game with this guy. But once we get this all made, we will have used up 3 more bulbs of our garlic, which is pretty phenomenal. I mean, we're using what we grew in the garden, which is awesome. I usually try to keep stirring this as much as possible so I don't have the cheese sticking to the bottom. Yes, folks, we do love our cheese as much as we love our garlic. All right, so we'll just keep stirring this until we hit about 160. You'll see it'll start to thicken up a little bit. All right, everybody, it is the next day. I got way too tired. So what I did was I put this into a container, put it in the fridge, let it sit overnight. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put it into a bag. I'm gonna have several of these, and we're gonna use our Avid Armor vacuum chamber sealer for this. You can see this is kind of thickened up quite a bit, so we're gonna get a little spatula here. And we're gonna get this into the bag. This might be easier said than done than to do it on camera here. All right, we got it in the bag. We'll go ahead and put it in the chamber. Vacuum sealer. This thing is super easy to use. Auto vac and seal. And you just have to wait for it. It's one of the coolest gadgets I have in the kitchen. And it's going to be one of the most used too. Blows up the bag. Wait for it. Yahtzee. Sealed. Ready to go. Now I can push this all flat. Airtight. Will stack really nice in the freezer. And we're ready to go. So I'm going to predict that I'm going to have 4, 5, 6 of these bags. So that's 6 meals. Actually, 7 meals we got out of this because we ate this the other night. So that works out real well. I'm impressed. I love it. All right, these guys are done out of the dehydrator. Let's see if we can find a good one for us. They're just so brittle. They just break. That's what you want. You don't want them to be moist at all. We're gonna load them up into my little grinder here. And we're gonna make some powder. All right, we got them all in there. Let's Put the cap on. And this is my favorite part. Look how white that powder is. Oh, it smells good. Give you a comparison. This is from the scapes. This is from the cloves. Interesting, isn't it? So there you guys have it. Showed you 3 different ways you could save garlic. I am loving this Confit. I'm loving the powder, and that sauce is to die for. So if you like what I'm doing here, want to stay tuned for some more ways to bring your garden into your kitchen, click that subscribe button, give me a like, give me a hype. Cheers, everybody. God bless. Keep harvesting.